Wednesday.
This is after more than 40 days of hand-wringing and partisan finger-pointing about who's to blame for this shutdown. And we're joined now by the director for the Center for Politics at the University of Virginia, Larry Sabato, to talk about this. He's also the author of Campaign of Chaos, Trump, Biden, Harris in the 2024 American election. I wonder how you see it, Larry. Democrats are divided on this, so I think we should get your assessment. Is this kind of a caving, a capitulation, or is this Democrats just recognizing the law of diminishing returns and sort of getting out before things get worse for Americans?
Both is the answer, obviously. The activists in the Democratic Party are furious. You know, you can spend 5 minutes on social media and figure that out. And you can see why, because they have been told consistently, really on an hourly basis, not just daily basis, that Democrats were in it to end it, and it was going to last as long as it took, and they were going to win this fight. And suddenly it's over. Now, technically, only 8 senators defected, 8 Democratic senators defected. So maybe that's of some solace. And yet Tim Kaine gave away the game. If you notice something that he said earlier today, he said there were plenty of other Democratic senators who were supportive of this, but we're delighted that the 8 of us were taking it up. And notice who they are. They're people who aren't on the ballot in 2026. Either they're retiring, or they're on the ballot in 2028, or on the ballot in 2030. And everybody knows how quickly the public moves on. Even the activists move on. So it's hard to believe that this wasn't a broader decision by at least a sizable number of Democrats in the Senate.
Larry, what does this tell you about the state of Democratic leadership, and specifically Minority Leader Schumer? Because there was a cynical take that part of the reason for the shutdown was that he didn't want to get primaried next year. He might get primaried anyway now.
Yes, I think there's a good likelihood of that happening. He did insist, yes, and he gave a speech last night that was spirited and tough. He may have been winking. I don't know. I can't read him that well, but I think it's obvious he's responsible as the leader for the decision that was made. And Democrats caved, as you mentioned earlier. He simply caved, and if he didn't cave, the Democratic caucus caved, and that is a reflection on his leadership.
How do Americans view it? I mean, when you look at the polls of who they say who is to blame, who comes out of this, at least, I don't know if it's scoring more political points, but maybe losing fewer political points.
That's a very good question. I'm going to be interested to see the newest polls when they come out in the next few days. We've seen consistently that Trump and the Republicans were blamed more than the Democrats were for this shutdown. And actually, the margin has grown with recent surveys. Now, does that stay the same? Or do people reevaluate based on what's happened? It's difficult to say. I tend to think that Republicans will still receive more of the blame than Democrats. So that may be some good news for Democrats. But think about what happened last week. You had a Democratic landslide on Tuesday, and not just in a couple of states. There were lots of elections that didn't receive that much attention nationally, and they almost all went Democratic, and by wider margins, sometimes much wider margins than expected. Democrats were euphoric. They were energetic. They were enthusiastic. They were ready to go out and win the midterms of 2026, and it lasted 4.5 days. And they were sent from cloud 9 to a subterranean purgatory by what the Democrats did, or those 8 Democrats did, over the weekend. That's just reality. Whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, maybe the country was ready for it, and goodness knows nobody wanted to stay at home when they wanted to see their family and friends at Thanksgiving. I get all that. And the pay to federal employees who have been without checks, and SNAP beneficiaries, and all the rest. But still, it's just quite a shock to see politicians go from being adamant in one direction to accepting a very different reality without much angst just a few days later.
On that note, I know your famed crystal ball is designed to look at campaigns and other things, but I wonder if you see another shutdown looming when funding again runs out in January?
Well, Senator Shaheen of New Hampshire was one of the key leaders in this movement to